Self-image is the silent architect of the life we live. The way we see ourselves dictates how we act, what opportunities we recognize, and even what relationships we attract. If you believe you are capable, worthy, and deserving, your actions naturally align with that belief. But if you view yourself as someone limited, unworthy, or broken, the mind finds ways to prove that perception true. This is why two people can face the same challenge and respond in completely different ways. One sees possibility, while the other only sees obstacles. It all begins not with the outside world, but with the picture you hold of yourself on the inside. From childhood, we inherit beliefs about who we are. Parents, teachers, friends, and society contribute to that inner image. Sometimes those beliefs serve us, encouraging us to grow, but often they create invisible chains. A child told repeatedly that they are not good enough may grow into an adult who never dares to try, even if the ability is there. Another child encouraged and uplifted may grow up to break barriers. What separates them is not talent or intelligence, but the internal image they carry. Understanding this truth is the first step toward transformation, because once you know that self-image is built, you also know it can be rebuilt. Changing your self-image is not about arrogance or creating a false mask. It is about aligning with reality, the reality that you hold more potential, more resilience, and more uniqueness than you give yourself credit for. It is about dismantling the negative voices that were never truly yours and replacing them with beliefs that empower you. Think of self-image like the lens of a camera. If the lens is scratched, dirty, or clouded, everything you see through it appears distorted. But once the lens is cleaned, the world looks brighter and clearer. The external world hasn't changed. You have simply changed the way you see. Daily practice is key. Begin by noticing the language you use with yourself. Do you call yourself weak, unlucky, or incapable? That is the image you are reinforcing. Replace those words with strength, possibility, and gratitude. Visualize yourself as the person you want to be and act in alignment with that vision, even in small steps. Over time, your actions reshape your beliefs, and your beliefs reshape your self-image. Slowly, you stop living in reaction to old limitations and begin living in alignment with your highest self. When you carry a strong self-image, you do not need constant validation, nor do you crumble under criticism. You act from a place of inner security. People sense it in the way you speak, the way you walk, the way you handle challenges. Life starts to mirror back the confidence and dignity you radiate, not because the world has changed, but because you have changed the way you see yourself. So much of our struggle with self-image comes from the habit of seeing ourselves through the opinions of others. From a young age, we are conditioned to seek approval. Parents smile when we succeed, teachers reward when we perform, friends accept us when we conform. Slowly, without realizing, we begin to measure our worth by how others respond. This external validation can feel good for a moment, but it is fragile, because the moment criticism or rejection appears, our sense of value collapses. When we depend on the outside world to tell us who we are, we place our power in hands that do not belong to us. The truth is, no one else can define your worth, because no one else fully knows your journey. People only see fragments of your life, filtered through their own experiences, biases, and expectations. What they say about you is not always a reflection of who you truly are. It is often a reflection of who they are. If someone calls you weak, it might come from their own fear of strength. If someone belittles your dreams, it may be because they never had the courage to chase their own. When you understand this, you begin to see that others' opinions are not mirrors, but projections. To live by them is to live in someone else's shadow. Defining your worth from within means developing an internal compass that remains steady no matter how the world shifts. It means asking yourself, not what do they think of me, but what do I think of me? It means cultivating self-respect so deep that praise and criticism hold the same weight. Neither inflates you nor diminishes you. This is not arrogance, it is freedom. True confidence is quiet, grounded in an inner knowing that does not need constant confirmation. Breaking free from external approval requires awareness and practice. Begin by noticing how often you adjust yourself to please others. Do you silence your voice to avoid judgment? Do you wear masks to fit into roles that are not yours? Every time you do, you send a message to yourself that who you are is not enough. Instead, start honoring your truth in small steps. Speak honestly, act according to your values, and make choices that align with your vision, even if they are unpopular. Slowly, your inner strength grows, and with it, a self-image built not on shaky ground, but on solid rock. When you stop measuring yourself through the eyes of others, something remarkable happens. You no longer live in constant comparison, competition, or fear of rejection. You become authentic, and authenticity carries a power that cannot be faked. People may still have their opinions, but they no longer hold the keys to your self-worth. You hold them, and when that shift occurs, your self-image strengthens, your confidence expands, and your life begins to reflect the dignity of someone who finally decided to define themselves from within. Comparison has a way of stealing the joy out of life. It often begins subtle, as seeing someone's success, lifestyle, or appearance, and immediately measuring yourself against it. The mind whispers they are ahead, and you are behind. At first, it might feel like motivation, but over time it erodes confidence. Instead of focusing on your own progress, you begin chasing shadows of other people's journeys. The problem with comparison is that it ignores context. You see someone's highlight, their polished moment, but you rarely see the struggles, sacrifices, and failures that built it. Comparing your chapter 2 with someone else's chapter 20 will only make you blind to the value of your own story. Every person has a different path, shaped by unique experiences, talents, and timing. Just because someone seems ahead today does not mean they are ahead in life. It only means they are walking their path, while you are walking yours. When a flower blooms in spring and another in summer, neither is late, neither is early. They are simply blooming in their season. The same is true for people. Your growth cannot be measured by someone else's clock, because your journey was never meant to be identical to theirs. Recognizing this truth allows you to step out of the exhausting cycle of comparison and into the peace of self-acceptance. Comparison also feeds insecurity by creating an illusion of lack. When you focus on what others have, you stop appreciating what you already carry. A person who is constantly looking at the wealth, beauty, or success of others may overlook their own intelligence, creativity, or kindness. This blindness leads to dissatisfaction, and dissatisfaction weakens self-image. Gratitude, on the other hand, strengthens it. When you shift your gaze from what they have to what I already possess, your sense of worth begins to grow from a place of abundance rather than scarcity. Breaking free from comparison requires conscious effort. One way is to redirect attention toward personal progress. Instead of asking, "Am I better than them?" ask, "Am I better than I was yesterday?" This perspective transforms competition into self-mastery. Every small improvement becomes a victory, and every step forward builds confidence. Another way is to limit exposure to environments that constantly trigger comparison. Social media, for example, often magnifies only the best moments of others' lives, creating unrealistic standards. Remind yourself that what you see is not the full truth, and that your worth cannot be reduced to images on a screen. When you stop comparing, you reclaim energy that was being wasted on insecurity and turn it into fuel for growth. You begin to celebrate others without feeling threatened, because their success no longer diminishes yours. You see life not as a race, but as a unique journey where the only real competition is with yourself. This shift builds a healthier self-image, rooted in authenticity, gratitude, and steady progress. Over time, you discover that the greatest freedom comes not from being ahead of others, but from being at peace with yourself. The words you speak to yourself are far more powerful than the words anyone else could ever say. Your inner dialogue is like the constant background music of your life. It influences your emotions, decisions, and confidence without you always noticing. When that dialogue is filled with negativity, self-doubt, and criticism, it slowly chips away at your self-image, creating a distorted view of who you are. You may begin to believe that you are not capable, not attractive, or not intelligent enough. not because it is true, but because you have repeated it so often in your mind that it becomes your reality. The human brain listens to the story you tell it, and it responds by shaping your actions and behaviors to match that story. Imagine a person who constantly says to themselves, "I can't do this." Every time they face a challenge, that belief echoes in their mind and they approach it with hesitation. Even if the opportunity is within their reach, they hesitate so much that they end up failing, and that failure becomes further proof of the belief. On the other hand, someone who tells themselves, "I can learn this, I can handle this," may not succeed immediately, but their persistence fuels growth, and over time they master what once felt impossible. The difference lies not in talent or luck, but in the inner dialogue guiding each step. Speaking to yourself with respect and strength does not mean ignoring flaws or pretending that challenges don't exist. It means choosing to encourage yourself rather than tear yourself down. It is about treating yourself the way you would treat a close friend, with kindness, patience, and understanding. If you would never call a friend useless or a failure, then why say those words to yourself? Replacing destructive language with empowering words may feel unnatural at first, but the mind adapts. Over time, affirmations and supportive self-talk become the new normal, and confidence grows naturally from within. To strengthen inner dialogue, start by paying attention to your thoughts. Notice the tone you use when speaking to yourself. Are you harsh and judgmental, or supportive and compassionate? Each time you catch yourself being negative, pause and reframe it. Instead of saying, "I always fail," try saying, "This time I struggled, but I can improve." Instead of, "I'm not good enough," try, "I am learning and growing every day." These small shifts reshape the narrative in your mind, and that narrative creates the foundation of your self-image. Over time, as your inner voice becomes more supportive, you begin to carry yourself differently. You stand taller, speak with more certainty, and approach challenges with resilience. Others notice the shift too, because confidence radiates outward. Your external life begins to align with your internal dialogue, proving that the way you speak to yourself is not just background noise. It is the script of your life. Change the script, and you change the story. Growth always begins when you make the decision to live in alignment with the person you believe you can be. Many people carry inside of them a vision of their better self, a version that is more confident, disciplined, compassionate, or courageous. Yet too often, that vision remains only a dream because actions do not match it. You cannot build a strong self-image by only imagining who you want to be. You must act consistently in ways that prove to yourself that you are becoming that person. When actions and beliefs come together, they create harmony, and harmony builds power. Consider someone who believes deep down that they have the potential to be strong and healthy, but every day they choose habits that weaken them. Poor diet, lack of rest, no movement. Over time, a gap forms between who they believe they can be and who they are in reality, and this gap creates frustration and a damaged self-image. But when the same person begins to take small steps that align with their belief, exercising, eating with care, resting properly, their actions start to confirm the inner vision. Every step builds evidence that they are becoming the person they once only imagined. The self-image strengthens because it is no longer just a thought. It is proven through action. This principle applies to every area of life. If you see yourself as someone who can lead, you must practice speaking up, taking responsibility, and making decisions. If you see yourself as someone who can succeed, you must work diligently, stay disciplined, and keep moving forward even when progress is slow. The more your daily behavior aligns with your inner vision, the stronger your self-image becomes. It is not about waiting until you feel fully confident before you act. It is about acting now, even imperfectly, so that confidence can grow from the proof you create. The process requires patience and consistency. Small actions matter more than dramatic gestures. One kind word to yourself, one choice of discipline, one step outside of your comfort zone, these create momentum. Over time, you stop being a person who only dreams of change and become a person who embodies it. Each action is like laying a brick, and the structure that is built is your new self-image. Solid, dependable, and empowering. Living in alignment with your potential also means letting go of habits, environments, or relationships that contradict it. If you believe you are capable of growth but surround yourself with negativity, your actions betray your belief. If you believe you are worthy of respect but accept mistreatment, you weaken your image. Alignment requires honesty, asking yourself whether your choices reflect the person you want to be. The more they do, the stronger and clearer your identity becomes. As this alignment grows, you begin to feel a deep sense of integrity. You no longer struggle between who you are and who you wish to be, because they are merging into one. That unity creates unshakable confidence, and confidence becomes the fuel for even greater growth. A powerful self-image does not need to shout. It radiates quietly from within. It is visible in the way you walk into a room, the way you carry yourself in silence, and the way you respond to challenges without panic. When you hold dignity inside, it naturally expresses itself through your actions, and others begin to reflect it back to you. People can sense whether you respect yourself or not, and they respond accordingly. If you see yourself as weak, others may treat you that way, but if you carry yourself with confidence and inner strength, people feel it without you needing to prove anything. This radiance is not about arrogance, boasting, or trying to impress. In fact, those who constantly seek to prove their worth often reveal insecurity rather than confidence. A strong self-image is grounded and calm. It does not require external applause to feel valuable. Imagine the quiet strength of a mountain. It does not need to declare its presence, yet its stability is undeniable. In the same way, when you cultivate a healthy self-image, you exude a presence that naturally earns respect without demanding it. The process of building this kind of radiance begins with self-respect. You show respect to yourself in the choices you make, the boundaries you set, and the way you care for your mind and body. Each small act of self-respect tells your subconscious that you are valuable. Over time, this belief becomes deeply rooted, and it shows in everything you do. When you stand tall, maintain eye contact, and speak with clarity, these are not superficial tricks. They are the outward signs of an inward dignity. This kind of presence also influences how you handle adversity. Someone with a weak self-image may crumble under criticism or failure, seeing it as proof of inadequacy. Someone with a strong self-image, however, interprets the same challenges as opportunities to learn and grow. Their composure in difficult moments becomes a signal of strength that others notice. People begin to trust, follow, and respect those who can remain steady in the storm, and that steadiness comes from within. It is important to remember that radiance is contagious. When you carry dignity and confidence, others are inspired to raise their own standards. Your energy encourages them to see the strength in themselves, and this creates a cycle of mutual respect. In this way, improving your self-image not only transforms your own life, but also uplifts those around you. You become a mirror that reminds others of their potential. Over time, this inner power becomes so natural that you no longer think about it. You simply live it. The more you nurture it, the less you need to chase validation or prove your value. Instead, life responds to the quiet certainty you carry inside. A powerful self-image radiates without effort, and that radiance becomes the light by which others recognize who you truly are.